I adore a day after Thanksgiving turkey sandwich with cranberry. It makes me also very, my wife just calls them hot turkey sandwiches because after you get done, you pour a little bit of gravy on it, and I'm just in heaven. Thanks. I'm going to pass it over to you, Nick.
My God, so many things to click now. Hi, my name is Nick Mandrakia. I play the character of Jason in the show, and I use he, his, him pronouns. And my favorite sandwich is probably, I usually like a lot of things in mind. So the first thing that comes to mind is just a cold classic Italian sandwich using multiple meats, cheeses. Then, of course, you have your Sicilian olives, lettuce, Italian dressing, maybe a little garlic in there as well. Just brings it all together, my man. Yeah, that's probably, yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe a little spice in there as well, like some jalapenos or pepperoncinis and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Nick, what's a Sicilian olive? What makes it
special? They're green. They're the green olives, essentially. If ever you think Sicily, you're going to see a lot of green olives all over the place. And it's just the flavor profile of it, I think, fits well with certain sandwich ingredients than I do per se like black olives. But yeah, lots of Italian spices and herbs that get mixed in with the green olives as well. That really blends in with the Italian sandwich in itself.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it to Damaris.
Thank you, thank you. I was thinking, Nick, you said Sicilian, the Pericini or what's the one that starts? Yeah,
the pepperoncini. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so good. But so good. I'm not a sandwich person, but I am a bagel girl, and so my sandwich or my preference would be a everything bagel with lox and cream cheese and capers, red onions, tomatoes, and yeah, yummy! So big, so big. It's so good. With some coffee. Yes,
New Yorker,
yes, please. Absolutely, that would be my best, my go-to. I can pass it on to Fred.
Hey, my name is Fred Pitts, and I am playing Montrellis in the show. Favorite sandwich is actually asking like favorite child. It's an unfair question. So, but I've recently discovered my new favorite, which I can't find around the States, is this thing called the jalapeno, which is this Southeastern European. I was in Croatia last summer, and there's a jalapeno, which is basically this kind of soft dough thing, kind of like a pita with a ton of like minced ground sausage meat in it with onions, and it was to die for. So if anybody knows any good jalapeno places around, let me know, or a good Croatian restaurant. I'd love to try it. And I will pass it on to Natasha.
Thank you, Fred. I'm Natasha Mosley. I play Clyde understudy. And my favorite sandwich is a turkey club, because everything's better with bacon. I'm sorry. Bacon and more bacon. I think I stepped in saying bacon. But yes, and a lot of mayo. It has to have a certain amount of mayo, because if it's dry, I won't eat it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sandwich.
Yeah. Definitely. So now I'm going to pass this on to Ben. Are you on?
Oh, with our stage manager, Ben.
Yes, I'm here, but I have to, in defense, have to say that my favorite sandwich is tuna.
He has the cat. It is not tuna. It's tuna with tape, Ben, is what your favorite sandwich is. Tuna with tape.
It's Ben with his cat. I love it.
Oh, I do love a good tuna melt. Or patty melt. Yeah. It's hard. Fred's right. It's hard to choose. Well, before we jump in, I have a nice photo of one of my favorite cast photos that does have a number of sandwiches. I do love this photo so much.
I
Yeah.
like that one.
Look at you,
Where is that? Where is that one?
I know we haven't seen that one yet.
That one is so good.
You know,
It's,
it's great.
it's
a
one of
great
the
shot,
first
yeah.
I took
I
almost
always-
before the group shot, because
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
are all the
Yeah.
sandwiches we have at the end of the night after every performance.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Those are all the sandwiches that get made. So
No, I will correct you slightly. Although all the sandwiches you made that only exit on stage right, other ones go
That's
other
true.
places.
This is very true. Yeah, check my bin.
not the
post-show.
ones that end up in the garbage.
The ones that end up under my station.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
right.
it's always great after the show when the cast or the crew can find somebody who's experiencing homeless and say, "Hey, do you want a sandwich or 9?" And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. There's a park next to my building, and I've placed them there, and they've disappeared in the morning when I go to work. So I'm assuming some happy person has eaten them.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And I just want to point out, so Kimberly Ridgway, who is in the beautiful blue outfit, is our Clyde and could not be here tonight. And behind her is Ricardo, who plays Raphael, and unfortunately cannot be here tonight, but we all think of his dancing fondly. Whenever I think of him, I think of his dancing. Yeah, one of the joys of, let me hit the right button. One of the joys of hosting the Zoom things, I like to pull up photos that the artists haven't seen yet. So that's kind of fun. There's also a big photo of the whole team, which is a nice one. And that's everyone. So I think I'm viewing the photo backwards from how you are. It's on my left, so I think on your right is Ron Gasparnetti and the glasses, who designed this gorgeous set, which looks like you could just walk into it and set up a restaurant. It's fantastic. It's a pretty good stuff. All right. Oh my gosh. I am on this like I'm on Zoom more pretty frequently. I should remember where all the buttons are. But here we are. Here we are. I love this show. I'm so excited to talk about this show. Aldo, as our director, will you start us off? Tell us what first drew you to this play, why you love it, why it's relevant now. Start us off with the big picture of Clyde's and Lynn Nottage.
Sure. Let me just give a quick shout out to Nancy Ginsburg Stern, my new fellow board member from Theater Works.
Wonderful. Welcome, Nancy.
So glad you're here. And I will start by talking about Clyde's with a confession. I was asked to be an auditioner for the Berkeley Rep production of Clyde's, and I knew that I could do it, and I also knew they probably weren't going to hire in town. So I said, "Let me see a script, and I'll get back to you." The second that they sent me the script, I sent it to Lisa and I said, "Hey, you've been talking about me working at your theater. Here's something I'm interested in." And she's like, "Great. Is it any good?" And I said, "I have no idea. I haven't read it." So
What?
then she got back to me. And then she got back to me and said, "Oh my God, this is just too wild. I've never done this, but I just sent off for the rights." And I said, "Oh, great. Did you finish reading it? Is it any good?" And she said, "I don't know. I haven't read it."
This is our artistic director, Lisa Millette.
So we base this on the fact, like in the old days when somebody like Arthur Miller could get his work secured in a Broadway house before he'd finished writing it because he was a great writer. We knew Lynn Nottage was a great writer. And so when we did read it, I fell in love with this thing. It falls into a lot of the work that she does where she has a strong character, sometimes often a strong female character playing a lead that doesn't come off as a cozy, meek female, and that you can sometimes feel is abrasive or aggressive, and you're not drawn to them initially until you find out more things about them, and then you start seeing things from their perspective and find a better appreciation by the time you finish the play than when you started the play. So between that and a philosophy class taught between pieces of bread, I just thought was hysterical, fascinating, and love the fact that we were focusing on a marginalized group with theater and having people think differently about them. Sometimes our society wants to dismiss people who've been convicted of a crime, and we come up with laws like 3 strikes. Though ironically, right now, a lot of people who had supported 3 strikes laws are now looking at prison reform and the justice system in a brand new way because of the president. So I love that. Not that they're going to do anything about it for those people, but they might. These things might change. So that's why I love this play. And immediately with budget constraints and the problems that theaters are having right now, Lisa called back and said, we can't have you in this. We can't afford an equity actor. And I said, that's fine. I'd be interested in directing. And I am convinced we can put a first-rate cast together in this area, and we can make this thing go. And we did. And there were all sorts of wild things that happened, and who came in and how they came in. But every single person in this cast, you could not have hoped for better people to pull these roles off, make you think, to move you, and make your heart smile and moan at the same time. It is an extraordinary 90 minutes of theater thanks to these people.
Wonderful. It is really, and of course you go, well, Lynn Nottage, the first woman to have won the Pulitzer Prize for drama twice. I guess she can write. We'll probably think that's okay. And then you read it, and I laughed out loud so many times reading the script, and just it is rare that you find something that blends humor and drama so seamlessly. Like all these dramatic moments, they are earned. And we love these characters and we laugh with them, and oh my gosh, and the arc, especially Jason, Nick's character of Jason has this just, can you tell us a little bit about your character and what he goes through? Because he is from originally another Lynn Nottage play. And were you familiar with Sweat? Did you know this character? Tell us a little bit about Jason. Oh, you're muted.
Multiple mics, multiple mutes.
It's not a Zoom meeting until somebody speaks on mute.
Yep, and there it is. And of course, that had to be me. So yeah, Jason's character was originally written in the show Sweat, which takes place 8 years prior to this show having taken place. And there's a pretty big incident that the character Jason deals with towards the very end of Sweat that then leads to what he's doing in life, which is Clyde's. So that's how the tie between goes with his character. Yeah, it is a roller coaster. And I think playing the realness of being judged the moment you walk into a building with just based off of how you look, and then how you act towards certain things, and how there is a chance of redemption that is written in the script as well. You really can't, I don't want to say you don't want to let your feelings affect what you do on stage, but it certainly plays an aspect to the realness of who somebody is, or who somebody actually can be, without you just judging from start to finish. There's a lot that he goes through, and there's some personal ties that are written in the show that I deal with myself personally as well, which helped the realness and embody what I felt the character was going through in that moment. And it was Aldo who really helped guide the ebbs and the flows of something like that, because I think if you have an angry character, you don't just want to yell the entire time. There's certain things that you can do that can make an audience really feel what you are feeling. And there's multiple moments of that. There's a moment that I have where I'm so mad, but I'm not yelling. It's all in my face. It's the grit of my teeth. And then there's moments where it just blows up, and it's probably the loudest thing anybody has ever heard in the theater. There are multiple ways to go about it, and this was about a year ago. Aldo had brought up to me. Aldo and I were doing a production of Othello together, and he just said, "Hey, there's something I need you to read. Keep it in mind." And I said, "Absolutely." And knowing that Sweat and Clyde's tied in together, I was like, I'm really curious to read Sweat first and then Clyde's. Let's jump in and see how it all ties in together. And yeah, the audition, I felt extremely confident after reading both and just knowing that Jason overall is just a misunderstood character, and you don't really get to feel it until everything is laid out on the table. He's got a little sensitive side to him as well. So this character was fun. It is easily one of the most challenging things that I've had to do, not just with the emotion, but eating on stage and talking on stage and knowing where to be on stage. It was easily one of the most challenging things. But it's a blessing to know that when you tie in a character that has also dealt with some things that you've dealt in with your life, and you're able to go out there and play the realness of it, it is an absolute dream come true.
I want to ask what some of those personal angles are, but if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, that's okay.
No, I totally do. I do not mind at all. I don't want to take up too much time because I know there's probably some other people who wants to talk. One of the big things, and it is something that I brought up during a rehearsal as well, which really got me to break down, but it's the joy of having a vulnerable place for you to express what you're going through. Is an instance where Jason's talking about his mom and his mom having a new relationship in his life. And I've gone through, I don't want to say gone through, that sounds awful. In my life, I've had 3 separate mothers in my life who have gone through multiple things, both of which my first stepmom and my birth mom were involved with other men in their life. So for me growing up, I never had that true mother figure in my life. And there's a moment where Letitia and Raphael finally discover that he really doesn't have anybody in his life. And the one person that he does have is indeed his mom, but she's got this awful relationship with this guy who him and I, the moment we're going to meet, if we hadn't already, are going to go at it. And it's just the nature of my character, not necessarily who she's with. But there was this moment of discovery during the scene in which that is talked about where I had to stop it. I had to stop for a second because it's not something that I talk about often, but when it does happen, it's almost like PTSD. It brings everything that I've grown up with about that situation into my life. So when you're acting, when you're in a show, like the show must go on and you have to roll with the language. There is no choice about it. But it's important to know that you can use that to fuel the realness and try to affect people in the audience. So again, you couldn't ask for a better group of people to be able to sit down and just take a deep breath and know that they're going to be there to catch you when things like this happen. And yeah, again, it's just one of those other things in the show that just made it all the more special for me.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Nick. That's really beautiful. I mean, theater brings us so many gifts.
It's a joy.
Yeah.
If I could just jump in there and also say that one of the reasons I knew that I wanted Nick immediately, which proved true in the auditions, there were some really terrific actors who auditioned for the part of Jason. Actually, more than any other role, there were people who were auditioning for Jason, and a lot of men who came in who showed great strength and masculinity, brought all that onto the stage, and some who could bring some vulnerability. But the combination is so important here, and it's so rare to bring to the stage somebody who can, from the moment that he walks on stage, Jason intimidates everyone. The space changes, the energy of the space changes. not just because he's a male and not just because he's a white guy coming on stage, but because of these tattoos that say, I'm not supposed to like who you are because you're a person of color. And what Nottage does is she creates this moment where Raphael has just said, Clyde has been talking to these people and they're doing these nefarious things and they're like from the underworld. And he says, El Formundo, and this big scary kind of thing. And in walks Jason. And it's by design that we create that atmosphere that he walks into, that we all recoil from. And then from there, she goes to work and has us feel and think. And Dan is exactly right. Can I have a piece of the chocolate? Is biggest laughs in the show.
That's
him. Yeah, it's just brilliant writing.
For those of you who will be watching later on YouTube and won't see that in the chat, Dan Hill, one of our wonderful regulars, hi Dan, made a comment that interestingly, Nick also had the funniest moment in the show, the line about the chocolate, when he says this big dramatic thing happening, and then he's like, "Can I have a chocolate?" And it's so funny. I laughed so hard at it. It was
it's like Aldo said, it's just the brilliance of the writing and the timing is just spot on.
Before I move on, I have a photo of you, which I don't think you have seen yet. And this is a different one. We have Kimberly Ridgway here. And as we're talking about humor, this is not a humorous moment at all, but it's a very powerful shot. And I also want to give a shout out to our company photographer, Christian Pizzirani, who does wonderful work. And he's captured a really intense moment here between Clyde and Jason.
Dang it, Rebecca, I haven't seen this photo. That's awesome.
Okay, when you said dang it, I hope that means I hope he likes it.
No, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Oh, good.
It's just a surprise.
And it is the moment where laughter stops on stage, but for everybody who's on stage or who knows the moment, they realize that Clyde is assaulting Jason sexually and grabbing him by his butt in this moment, and that he has to put up with it. Which is, again, great writing. That the stage direction is that she walks by and she slaps him on the butt. And I have watched people go and touch the pearls and cover their mouths, and she did that. And then she grabs him and holds on and continues to do that. And again, we had a president brag about that sort of thing, and it's not funny when it happens and all the laughter stops.
Yeah. It's a powerful moment for sure. So there's a lot to that character. Absolutely. Well, on a lighter note, I love the kind of rom-com a bit that we have with Raphael and Letitia. And of course, it's more than rom-com. There are moments that are really light and lovely. And I hope I'm not doing any spoilers. I think everyone on here has seen the show. The chemistry and no. Okay, then I'm going to just say, forget I said anything. None of this happens. Bye. Have a good night. No.
We're coming on Sunday.
You're coming on Sunday. Well, I won't tell you how the scene ends then. We'll just show you a little snippet here. And this is the two of these folks. And there is such neat chemistry between the two of them. And there's a lot of levity, but there's a lot of heart. And I just am not going to say any more. We'll just look at this photo for a minute, and then I'm going to ask Damaris a couple of questions. Thank you, Nancy, for letting me know that. Damaris, we are so excited to have back because, of course, she just played the title role in King Liz at City Lights and played this very driven female sports agent, and a really indelible performance. And now this is a different role because that show very much focused on Liz, and this is more of an ensemble cast, an ensemble story. Everyone gets his or her moment in the light, and that's really neat. And two very different directors. I am curious to hear about the different ways that you, Damaris, approach these roles. And then also there's dialect work with Letitia too, which is interesting.
Yes, there was. The timelines for both of the shows were relatively similar. However, what we were able to put together with King Liz versus Clyde's. I think Clyde's, we had a lot more time to do more massaging of each of the characters, hence the ensemble too of this. And I think for myself, I could certainly speak for myself, that I got so much more. I had many more moments that were nuanced because of it, because I was not the focus as I was in King Liz. I was able to sit back in Clyde's and really see more of my relationship building with my cast, who, by the way, I will so seriously say that the moments that are the most pivotal for me are the moments where I feel I get the most from them. In other words, Ricardo is lovely and brilliant, and he does things for me that he's just a generous person, and so I react off of him, and it's effortless. And in many of our scenes together, it's just wonderful to come to that. Same with I was going to say Jason, but with Nick. Nick, when he goes from 0 to 60 in his volume, my reaction is always genuine because he is just so good at doing that. And then I have him, Montrellis. Well, we've also, Fred, have said that he's my play husband, that we've done 5 shows together. And again, when he asks me a question to come help him at the table and I say thank you, it is genuine every single time. And it's only because I am taking the energy in which they put forth on stage and I'm only receiving it. And so it just makes me look like a better actor because they are so good at what they deliver. So big kudos. I'm not faking any of those tears and any of that joy. It is so genuine. And I don't want to say anything disparaging about my King Liz cast because they were beautiful too, but this Clyde's, I could breathe in this one. I could breathe. Yeah, I could breathe and I could reflect and I could think and I could make choices that I just had the breathing room for. Yeah. And so Letitia has an accent, which I've said this character has lived in me forever and a day. And so it's easy for me to bring her forth. And she's such a beautiful breath of contradictions. And, and she's like a kite, she's like a kite up in the air, up in the air, up in the air, and boom, she falls. And then she gets back up again. So that's how I see her. It's been a really beautiful character to embody and look forward to it every night that we play.
Oh, when Jason is new and she keeps looking over his shoulder and telling him what he's doing wrong and this and that and this and that.
I know. Just going to all of those extremes. That is the beauty of that character. I mean, I told someone who's an actor who came to see me and I said, this gal has given me so many absolute opportunities to stretch, rubber band. I can go this way, that way, the other way, because she takes the language takes me there. Yeah. I'm not trying to play upset or discouraged or distraught. The language is all there for me to play all these wonderful nuances. So she's a great character to play.
She really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And while you're flying like a kite all over the stage, we have Montrellis, who keeps us all
grounded. Exactly.
And calm. And the photo I wanted to show was this one. I just love this picture of, it was just the sage, like the sandwich sage. I don't know, the sensate, just the kind of the wisdom of Montrellis is so lovely in this photo. Fred is back too. After King Liz, he played Coach Jones and a very different role. How much do you love Montrellis? How much do you just want to be Montrellis? I think we all want to.
At least we'll keep that photo up there.
I'll take it away.
I was surprised. I was like, y'all put that play in, you didn't see it and didn't read it. Wow, that's I like that faith. I saw the Broadway production because it was streaming when it was on Broadway, and I was like, this is interesting. It's Lynn Nottage. Let's watch this. My wife and I watched it. And to the point, I told her, that's a play I got to do. Montrose. As soon as I watched Ron Cephas Jones being Montrose, I was like, in some time in my life, I don't know when, I would love to play Montrose. And stuff happened, and I'm Montrose. It's kind of how it is. Yeah, he's quite the character. I love his groundedness. I love the fact that he has taken whatever experiences he's had in life to decide where he is. However rugged or jaded or crazy his life path has been. There's one moment, which I won't talk about in the show, that in his life where he makes a decision where his life will go after this moment. And he's been on that trajectory ever since. And I love that. Yeah, and for me, it's personal because, I can identify with being the older brother, but a younger brother, and there's probably nothing I wouldn't do for him. So that was easy to tie in. And he's so different than, Coach Jones. Coach Jones is funny and acerbic and caustic and whatever, and he's got his own weird, tough love way of doing things, but Montrose just is a loving character. And to echo Damaris and Nick's points, and my general view is you can't do this show without amazing people. And I don't care how great the actors are, fine. But these are amazing people. It starts with that, because if you get amazing people to do these roles, then the roles are just very honest. There's no acting on stage. These are people who are, using part of themselves to create a real person. So there's nothing fake. And Damaris said, and Nick said, there's nothing fake up on stage. I've known, Damaris, 9 years and 5 shows. So we know all the intimate details of, personal lives. And when I'm on stage having conversations with her, that's just me talking to Damaris just kind of comes out. And I have never met Nick before in my life until he was doing the fight choreography for our show. It's kind of like, this is a cool guy. I'd love to do a show with him. Guess what? So there is,
right. For King Liz, Nick did the fight.
Yeah.
Right. So you've already built trust with him on that level. You have to if he's your fight choreographer.
Yeah,
really.
and
No, it's Nick. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah, and I think just carrying over from there and being with the cast of King Liz for the few rehearsals that I was there for, I had told Fred, I was like, I feel like it's only a matter of time until we do a show together. I had seen him in so many things. We've been around for a while, and that's the joy of theater. It's like at some point there is a path that will be crossed. It's the exact same thing with Damaris. Met Damaris through King Liz officially, had seen her in so many things. But yeah, it's you get that feeling. It's a click, it's a light bulb, whatever it might be. The second you start chatting with them, you just feel comfortable in that building. And there is no faking anything around it. The moment that gets me, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it right now, there's a couple. It's Letitia's exit, where she has that very, very just like, I'm doing this thing, but it's the look on her face that I'm like, no, she means it. And then when Fred lifts his arms up, Aldo directed that absolutely stunningly, because it makes me break every single time. It's the moment that I look at him and then he just puts his arms up for a hug, and that just destroys me. But it's not only because I'm in the moment and it's a very hefty monologue that he's got to put down, but it's knowing that Fred is there to hold me if I need. And it sounds crazy, but that is just the joy of live theater, is when you have some amazing people that you can trust with the snap of a finger. It just makes the experience all the more amazing.
Yeah. These are like my children. They're like my children's kids. They are.
For sure.
Very, very true. And not about immaturity, but just like, it's true. And to Nick's point about, just trust, it's like, that's what we told our girlfriend Natasha when she first went on stage, to perform as Clyde. It was like, fly, we got you. We're not worried about it. We got you. And, she flew. So.
And that's just what you
part
want
of
to hear
us.
from the understudy. Like, fly, we got you. Right? Natasha,
Yep.
how many performances have you done? I know you had several scheduled.
I've done 3 and I have 1 more left to do. And like I said, you know, I came in as the understudy. First of all, it was a valuable opportunity for growth and learning. Um, I I can't say enough about the directing and the actors and how they help coach me, because as an understudy, you don't get as much time to actually run lines and be in the moment and things like that. You just have to sit back and mouth the words and kind of like, what would I do in that moment? And then, then you're on, you know. I'm lucky to have had like 4 shows that I was guaranteed to do, but as an understudy, you don't always get that guarantee.
Right.
And so it's just been amazing to be with these people and just learn from them and the cues. And if you miss something, just keep going. The one thing that Aldo said to me that sticks with me is drive through the lines. He said, don't worry about acting. He said, drive through the lines and it will come. If you build it, it will come. He said, just drive through it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And so that's what I pushed for. And the more I did that, the more Clyde came out. I will tell you this, my last show was my church family, my
Yes, there were.
sorority sisters, and Tabia, my other acting company. They were all in the audience. And they said, Clyde is your alter ego. Because that's not my character at all, but they were like, oh my gosh, we didn't know you could do that, but wow, and I was like, okay. But it was amazing.
That's like, not only do your fellow actors have you, but the audience has you too. Everybody's got you.
It was that audience or something else.
Oh, that's wonderful. I have a nice photo that you're in. We've shared this one before. Oh no, you're not in that photo. Oh, never mind. No, there you are. There you are.
She's there.
I'm sorry, I did not have my heels on. And I will say this, I have to wear the heels because I'm 2 feet shorter than everybody in the cast, even with the heels on.
Well, our photographer Christian set this up so beautifully that you have this nice progression of people. So this also includes our costumer Brittany and our lighting designer Ed, and who both just did fantastic jobs. I went up to Brittany and I said, I love how Clyde always, everyone's wearing kind of just black and white and very kind of basic stuff, and Clyde brings it every time she steps on stage. I'm like waiting to see what she's going to wear next, and it's amazing. Just amazing. Yeah.
It's also one of the tough things about Clyde is that she has to bring on stage an energy that makes her the alpha immediate. And Natasha's talking to you about the fact that even with 2 inches of heels, she's just a little video thing out there. And when we had our first conversation, she was just so sweet. And then she auditioned, and I was like, oh yes, there it is. she can do this. But she has this huge obstacle of not getting the opportunity to do it enough with the cast that's working through those moments and learning those moments. So the cast, rehearsal after rehearsal after rehearsal, they're all working and struggling and wrestling with these characters and the script, and in a short amount of time. But even far shorter is the understudy, who is only listed as an understudy until their first performance. And then the program may list them as an understudy, but it goes on the resume, and you don't put understudy anymore because you performed it in front of an audience. So it is yours. It is yours.
Nice. Very nice. I want to make sure the audience gets a chance. Does anyone who's watching tonight, I know there's a bunch of you who have your cameras off, and that's fine. Does anyone have anything they want to ask at this point? I'm looking in the chat. Hi, Nancy. Do you have a question?
Well, I was wondering when this play was written, and I looked it up, and it went on Broadway the November of 21 and closed 2 months later. Was that a pandemic effect, or was there something else going on? Did it get Did it get
Straight plays
good
don't last on Broadway very,
Yeah,
very
they
long.
last 2 months. Yeah, 2 or 3 months at max usually.
Yeah, even really good ones
Yeah.
don't last long on Broadway.
especially at that time, probably.
Yeah. But Clyde's has been one of the most produced plays around the country for, I'm not sure if it still holds that exact record, but it did, I think, in 2022, and it's just incredibly popular. Lynn Nottage, of course. She's Lynn Nottage. Anybody else have questions? I have more photos, I have more questions. I could go on all night, but open up to the audience. Let's see. Dan says, Clyde's costumes were fantastic. Oh, and Dan also says, I saw Natasha's first performance and you were great. So there's some audience love for you. Wonderful. Wonderful. I have another couple of photos. I like just this one because I like the composition of it. And again, our company photographer, Christian Pizzirani, does a great job. And I think this is an interesting moment, interesting composition, the way you all are lined up. And I don't remember, anybody remember what's happening at this moment?
That is the moment where she has basically told everybody how useless the review is.
That's
And
right.
they turn and ask me, you know, we'll get there. And I just come up to them and say, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Pretty devastating.
Yeah.
Our leader is saying otherwise, so we're a little deflated.
Yeah.
It's such a good photo.
Christian
good
does
photo.
beautiful work. And for those of you here who saw Nora, A Doll's House, Christian is also an actor, and he was in that play, and he was fantastic. He's always great.
It's also important to realize that this is the one moment where the eternal optimist is not optimistic. He's not certain. He's not necessarily pessimistic, but he doesn't know if the future is going to be bright. Where they've just made an achievement, and now will things get better for them? And he says he doesn't know. Which I love. I also love the fact that in this picture you can see that shiny surface behind them that they prep all the food on, which they work diligently on a nightly basis with white vinegar to clean and make sure that it's gleaming. And on that surface, as they prepare these dishes, when they don't work out, they get swept into the garbage can. And that's what we've done as a society with a whole group of people. This country has incarcerated more human beings than any other industrialized country and all other industrialized countries combined. The huge portion of our society that often not only are they imprisoned, but they're disenfranchised. And for the majority of even those that do get a chance to vote, have to get out of prison and through probation and through parole before they can get their voting rights back, if they're in a state that gives them back. So we take these people and we dispose of them like these sandwiches or the clippings and refuse that we're not using.
Thank you, Aldo. That also reminded me that I found a quote. Oh yeah, I'm going to answer your question in just a second, Dan. I found a quote from Lynn Nottage that I really liked. From 2022 New York Times, Lynn Nottage says, Clyde's is a play about people trapped in a liminal space. It is also about community, healing, creativity, mindfulness, and forgiveness. It is about the process of resurrecting one's spirit and finding grace in the simple business of living. And that's what these people are doing. It's lovely.
There are some religious themes that do come in. There's lots of references to hell and demons and devils, which is interesting. It makes Montrellis somewhat Christ-like, and unfortunately makes Clyde a little too much like she's Satan. And so we kind of shied away from a couple of really harsh stage directions so that it's a little more nuanced.
Agreed. I think Damaris, doesn't Letitia have a line at some point that she's talking about it being liminal space, like we're never going to get out of here, or we're in limbo? She says it at one point.
I Are we talking about the black hole? That monologue that I'm trying to think of. Anybody else know out there better than I right now? Because it's not coming to me.
Raphael says, "How did we get into this place?"
Oh.
But I think your black hole moment is more apt. That you have to fight the negativity. You have to fight being drawn into the negativity and being drawn back to it, because if you do, it just gets bigger and bigger, and it encompasses more and more people.
Yeah, and again, the drama and the comedy are just interwoven so skillfully in the script that you never feel an abrupt tonal shift. It just feels like life. It feels like life.
Mm-hmm.
Dan had a question in the chat where he wanted to know, were the food props all edible and were some fake? And I have a video about this up on City Lights Facebook, Dan. You should check it out. Our props designer, Laura Merrill, I interviewed them talking about the food, and they're talking about, and as Ben says, all are edible except the burgers and the bacon. And the bacon is this weird plastic thing that, like, it stretches. It's like, I think some of the advertising, it's like stretches to 4 feet long, which is exactly what you want from bacon. So bizarre.
I'm okay with 4-foot long bacon.
Same.
Totally okay with that.
Same. If
Totally
it's
okay with that.
edible.
If they make it up and it's edible, I'm there.
Yep. If it's edible, I'm eating that thing.
Oh, but
no
There.
question.
We have to give big props to our stage manager, Ben,
Yes.
who makes okay, Fred, you want to tell them what he makes? It's actually your
Oh,
scene.
yes, this is the story I want to hear. Thank you for reminding me.
Which one? The grilled halloumi?
Yes.
Yeah. Ben makes the grilled halloumi because it's one of the nights we were doing rehearsal. It was just like, ham and cheese or something like that. This is not ham grilled halloumi because I'm anal retentive about this stuff. So Ben, in his infinite wisdom, decided to take tofu, marinate it in soy sauce and a little bit of ginger and I think garlic. He marinates it and then he fries it in the pan. And then he cuts it into little squares to look like cheese, and then we put it on focaccia, which is kind of easier to chew, but not really, because after a day or two, the focaccia gets really nice and chewy. But they're small fragments, so at least it looks like grilled halloumi on focaccia. And over the course of the show, we've decided that we now just try to dunk the bread in water or do whatever. And it's my favorite scene because, and I won't spoil anything much for. Actually, I'm not going to spoil it for Nancy. Never mind. You'll see it on Sunday.
but huge props.
I have learned, huge props to Ben.
But just be
Huge props
warned
to
that
Ben.
Jason does get 2 servings of it.
Yes, I do, and thank
Yes, you
goodness, because it is delicious. But also, just to note, the tofu has the perfect char on it.
It
got
does.
the perfect. I mean, you want to talk grilled? It looks the way it needs to. It's the craziest thing in the world.
Ben made leftovers and I snack on it in my house. True story.
Ben is not
snack on it
only
in my
the
house.
stage manager, but one of the resident chefs.
Clearly.
I do it like twice a year. Don't ask for more.
And also call out to our assistant stage manager, Olivia Millette, who is like sandwich queen. Although I think she's never going to eat tuna again. I think she's tired of smelling the tuna.
Ooh.
Yeah, but almost everything is real. Laura also made the patties, the burger patties, and they're made from clay. And you took a toothbrush and made kind of little texture on them. So yeah, check it out on City Lights Facebook. Watch the video. Especially the stretchy bacon. It's just so weird, but it looks real. Does anyone else have questions, or artists want to jump in and talk about things we haven't talked about? You got any funny backstage stories to share? Things that are meaningful to you? Go. That's what I get for asking a really broad question, right?
I know that Olivia likes to give Ricardo, who plays Raphael, a hard time, and he's requested not to have mustard, and she continually puts mustard in his sandwich. So he's like,
No
why did she
surprise.
do this to me?
because you told her not to. That's why.
Hey, Fred, would you feel comfortable talking about when you came into the process and what your rehearsal was
If you're
like,
okay, yeah.
Right as a
Okay.
pro.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the story. I was not in the original casting, and 2 weeks before opening, I'm standing in my kitchen and I get a text at 6 o'clock in the evening from Lisa Millette saying, paraphrasing, "Hi, our Montrell's had a medical, whatever. Are you available to step in?" And my reaction will say, "What the?" I looked at my wife and said, "See this text?" And she said, "You wanted to play the role?" And I said, "Yeah." So I basically walked in the Saturday, 2 Saturdays before we opened. Fortunately, I knew Damaris. I'd worked with her. I knew Nick. I've been friends with Kim forever. So I thought, and I liked Aldo as a director. So I was like, okay, let me just do this and see what happens. So yeah, I learned the show in 2 weeks or a week. Was it 2 weeks? I think it was 2 weeks. It's a blur.
he had just under 2 weeks of rehearsal, but he came in and within 2-3 days was the first actor off book.
Wow.
So he was the
Kim
first,
hates me for that. Kim hates me for that.
he was the first actor off book.
She called me the teacher's pet at another theater company.
Exactly, because Aldo never let us forget.
I always say that I will use whatever leverage I can.
And Aldo was sitting in the back of the theater, and he, at the end of like the second or third or fourth rehearsal, he's like, "Yeah," and then props to Fred for being the only one who's off book right now, but that's okay because he came in 3 days ago, and I was like, "Oh Lord, here we go."
Yeah, no, he said it was okay, but he had no hesitation bringing it up after
Yeah.
every rehearsal.
Look at him with daggers every night. Hate you, I hate you. You know your monologue.
So as an actor, I always get annoyed when someone arbitrarily says, "This is the date by which every actor will know their lines." And like, yeah, it may have been a while for you, since you were up on stage and you had to do that. But I also know that it makes the crew very nervous, stage managers and everyone else, when they see actors continuing to have scripts in their hands. So I always say, I don't give off-book deadlines. I just give glares. And so
Subtle, very subtle.
Very subtle. I will say, going forward, panic is a great way to learn a script.
It truly is. That is something.
It is.
One little backstage moment that I love, and it's just a true testament to my friendship with Fred and how comfortable I am with him. After scene 9, there's a moment that Raphael and Letitia have together. When the scene ends, the song "Come Go With Me" by Teddy Pendergrass starts to play.
You should really tell Aldo this, since he hasn't seen the show in a while.
He's not gonna. No,
he's not gonna care. He doesn't care.
There's a moment backstage we have when Fred and I exit, and we were kind of doing this in rehearsal when we first heard the music. Is that we were snapping like we were either from the Commodores or like a boy band group. And as we walk off, we do our old R&B slide, and then we just start snapping to the music as it goes along. And oh my God, the music selection that George picked for the show, and the transitions with how Ed transitions to light, and how when the music ends, when it fades, is top notch. Like you don't get to hear Teddy Pendergrass every day of your life.
No, you don't.
No, you really don't. You don't get to hear that smooth jazz going. Like there's some things that just, it's awesome.
And I want to say, in all honesty, and I said it to him beforehand, there's no way I could have done this without Aldo. No way. No way.
Agreed.
Moving on.
No, not moving on. Not moving on. No.
One of the things that they say that happens when a director goes away is the show will grow and it'll go through some slight changes, and then the director comes back and then has to take out all the improvements. But no, that's not one. But I will tell you something that a lot of people don't realize is that our sound designer, George Saris, said, "Oh, well, when I found out the show was set in Pennsylvania, I started looking up all of these musicians, and everybody except for the Latinx group is from Philadelphia. It's all Philadelphia sound."
Of course, that makes, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense right now. Wow. Nice.
Every single one of them.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just little touches like that. It's just a remarkable group of artists coming together. And, there's some people are like, sometimes the sandwiches became a character. And I was like, no, part of that's written, but part of it is just how we have sound and lights coming together to give you the feeling as if that sandwich is talking to you and telling you to come on over, come on and go with me.
Just the smoothest thing in the world. I'm already hearing it in my head right
So
now.
am I. It's
That's
in my
my
head right now.
favorite. Yeah.
It just is.
It's so good.
It's a shame you haven't had any fun at all working together.
No.
None.
I think if I had to make my joy, it is that whatever I can do on a particular night to make Nick laugh in inappropriate places. I see Aldo going, no.
I always say, Fred, just put a piece of tape in the right spot.
Exactly. That's exactly what you do.
No.
We have to tell that story now. We have to tell that story.
Go ahead.
Oh my God. Okay, so there was something that we needed to mark on the stage, and I couldn't remember what exactly it was. Ben, I'm sure you can testify to this, but essentially, Damaris, go ahead.
Where Kim stands.
Yes. So
Right,
it
yeah.
was like, if we just knew, like, everything would be great. And so Ben comes from either the seats or the booth during tech, and he just takes a piece of tape and he puts it down where she's supposed to be. And everyone starts applauding. Everyone. We're the happiest humans in the world. And without hesitation, and I probably laugh the hardest because I still laugh every time it gets brought up. There's like a 2-second moment of silence after we're done clapping, and you just hear Ben go,
A piece of tape.
For a piece of tape. For a piece of tape. Because we were so excited. It was just like, we have seen tape for years and years placed everywhere, and we hadn't used tape for the process of the show. And so the first time we saw a piece of tape, we were like, oh my God, yes, this is the greatest thing in the world. Oh my God, you guys are the best. Thank you for oh my God. And Ben just is like, it's a piece of tape. It just walks away.
Yeah, but it's a piece of tape that it's on Montrellis is stationed in the right spot where I have to line up the cutting board and the plate every night precisely so the light beams down. So tape is important.
There's so many more things with this one piece of tape.
And I may also add that during our production photo shoot, they had me bring the company photographer over and take a picture of the piece of tape. And had I known it was this important, I would have loaded up that picture tonight.
And Rebecca will now show you the piece of tape.
Can you email it to me, Rebecca, please? Can you email it to me? Thank you.
That will be our goodbye gift to Ben.
It is a beauty.
Just the fact that it exists makes all of this 5 times better.
Yes.
Let's see. Someplace on my phone. Give me a second.
Of course Ben has it. Ben has everything.
And I just want to say that this is really evidence of how abused actors truly are when for Christmas they just want a piece of tape.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap up soon, except if Ben, are you really finding that picture of the piece of tape?
He's really finding the picture.
First, I need to find my phone, which I think is in the car.
Okay, well, maybe.
Check
Don't
with the cat,
don't wait
Ben.
for me.
Check with the cat. The cat probably has it.
I have the photo. I can email it to all of you.
Please and thank you.
Yes.
Please and thank
Please do.
you.
Perfect.
Okay, I promise I will email. I'm gonna make a note of it right now, and I'm gonna look at this in an hour and go, what does this mean? Send photo of tape to everyone.
God.
This is the best night of my life. Awesome. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. This was a fun one. Thank you to the folks who are here and don't have their cameras on. We love you anyway. Thank you for being here. Our next main stage show is, don't go until I say it, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show starts performances on July 18th. We will have in-person and Zoom talkbacks. I don't think I'll get a word in edgewise during the Zoom talkback because this is a wild cast coming in and it's going to be great. So please all watch your emails, watch your social. You'll find out all the information once we have it. Actors and actors and Aldo and Ben. Any last words? Just thank you and good night.
Last word. 3.
3.
Oh,
It's a word.
Yeah, it's a word. I know.
Okay,
Black
fine.
hole.
Here's,
Oh, no,
fine.
black holes too.
Halloumi. That's the last word.
Halloumi!
Halloumi.
Yeah. Oh,
I appreciate you all very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night. Take care.
Night all.